Residential Home Funding. Today I have the opportunity and the honor of having the Dr. Kell Morton with us. Kell, welcome.
My man.
To have you.
Good to see you, buddy.
So we're just going to jump right into it because that's usually what we do. Let's talk about how we met. I want to hear your side, your version of the story, how we met, and then I'll give you my side.
Sure.
Obviously, as you know, there's three sides to every story.
Right.
My side, your side, and the truth.
Right.
So we'll go into your side first.
Cool.
What do you got?
So through the healing work that I do, I'm kind of connected with the Tony Robbins world. And a friend of ours who happens to be a mutual friend who sells tickets to all of Tony's events, he hits me up on the cell phone. He's like, hey, come to this thing, get a ticket. So I get a ticket. I'm like, all right, cool. Show up, and it's this small, exclusive, like 30 people, live taping, live interview of Tony for his latest book. And so I walk in, and there's our friend like in the front row. And I walk up, I'm like, what's up, buddy? And so he takes me through the crowd, and he takes me to the back, and he's like, you gotta meet my friend Jeff.
Told me the same thing. You gotta meet this guy. Gotta link with this guy. I'm thinking he's like, let's get this guy off me. Get rid of him. You deal with him.
So we went back and meet, and right off the bat, Jeff has this instant ability to cut through people's bullshit and their armor and all their stuff and just get right to the heart of who they are. And like he can vet anybody in 30 seconds. So right off the bat, he's like, oh yeah, you work with Tony? What do you do? What's the outcome? What can people expect? So he's like rapid firing these questions and I'm like, oh, okay, all right, you want to move around? We'll move around a little bit. So we go through this whole process and he looks at me, he's like, okay, you're a real deal, all right. So we go through the Tony taping, and after the interview's over, I come circle back around and we connect for a minute. And he and his friend Jay are sitting there like, what are you doing now? And I'm like, let's see, I signed up, I just got a ticket for another networking thing. And like in my head, I'm thinking, I should go and meet more people at this next event. That's good for my business. And they're like, no, we want you now. Because if you go to this other event, they're gonna want your time and attention too, and we're here right now. We want you, let's go to your office now. And so I'm like, going through my head, like, what do I do here? Should I do this? Should I do that? And finally I was like, all right, fine, one in the hand, right? So you guys are here, I'm here, let's go. So I ended up going up to my office up in, I'm in the East 50s in Midtown. And we sat down and it was like 3 hours went by like that. And we just had this instant connection. And I knew Jeff was really, really cool. Like there's an exterior that probably some people don't get past and don't see, but I was able to see Jeff pretty instantly and know that he's here to really help people in this world. And got like in his heart, he's a really good guy. And that right there is just what I think is cool about people, is when they're really and truly, they really show up for others, and they're here to make the world a better place. And I felt that instantly. I recognized that in him as well too. Every week working together, we're seeing tremendous changes showing up in his life. The people he's been sending to my office, like it's been raining people from him, seriously. And those who
come a lot of screwed up people.
Well, regardless of where it is, we're all a little messed up. However, within each of us, there's this really special gift. And life happens. We take on stuff that's not ours. We stress out. We're in this world of like rapid, instant change where everything's coming at us so fast. And people lose sight of themselves and forget who they are. And what I help people do is wake themselves back up to the magic of who they are. And what that special one thing is inside their hearts and souls that they came here in this life to give and to be. And I love bringing that out in people. And nothing lights me up more than that. And so it's been so fulfilling, rewarding to only be able to hang with this guy as a client. But that's the whole point. Like, it's great to be able to contribute to him so he can go out and do his job and show up better in the world. But what's been a lot of fun is like we've become great friends as a result of it. So it just psychs me up to like so much to be able to work with him, not just as a client, but also a friend, and then also into what we're about to do here in this venture.
So again, if you know me, you know that mostly when someone's introduced to me, I'm more often skeptical because I haven't vetted them yet, right? I don't know anything about them. Like, if I had never heard of you before, like you're obviously not earth-changing, right? Like you're not magical. Like little did I know, right? You can't judge a book by a cover. I'm like, all right, cool. He gave me my card, he gave me his card, and I put it on the table in front of me, and we went on to watch the show. And it was interesting, but the whole entire time I was listening to Tony speak about his book Unshakable. I'm like, who is this guy? His name just keeps staring at me. I'm like, what is this? It's only card on a white table in front of me. So I'm like, gotta link up with this guy after. So we get in Uber, we drive all the way to his office, and for those of you who don't know, I very severely pulled my hamstring last year. I told you, I had not run since the middle of July last year. And if you don't know also, I played about 100 games of softball from April to August. So my hamstring is like my biggest catalyst in being able to play softball. So we get back into Kell's office, we speak for about an hour, and then Jay and I each get on separate tables, and Kell begins his work. And he'll explain more about what he does. And after the work was done, we got back off the table and we sat down across from each other. You were sitting in your chair, we were sitting on your little bench, your little futon. And as we were speaking, I felt my hamstring, the pressure, the tightness release. I just felt this massive release. And I'm like, Kell, listen, my hamstring hasn't felt this good since last July. He's like, yep, see? I'm like, what the fuck was that? Like, what'd you just do to me? Like, barely touched me. You didn't put anything on your hands. You just ran your hands over my back and my spine and my ankles. He's like, yeah. And I went into then what, he does for a living. So let's get into a little bit about, one, what the hell did you do to me that day? And two, how you got into what you do.
So throughout my life, I've always wanted to help people. It's just something that's been a calling. I've always felt it inside of here. I had a couple different twists and turns in life, as most people do. So I was originally going to start out and be a physical therapist because I had gone through a shoulder injury and I'd gone through the rehab process. I love people. I love the hands-on approach. And so I started doing some volunteer hours, to apply to grad school, like going in physical therapy clinics and things like that. And during college, we had kind of family tragedy strike. My sister at the age of 15 became a full-blown heroin addict. And that pretty much ripped my family apart. And we were living in a really tough and chaotic space. And I was going through depression and anxiety constantly and just kind of lost all sight of my dreams and my hopes and desires to help others because I couldn't even smile on the inside, much less on the outside. So I was working a dead-end job. I was home from college my senior year, and a friend of a friend walked in, and he's a chiropractor, and said, listen, we have a mutual friend. I need somebody like you in my office. What do you say? Would you want to come work with me? I thought, well, guys, bad backs, chiropractic, like what the hell is that? Like I didn't know a thing about chiropractic. Like, you know what I mean? Like was not on my radar at all. But I was just in a dead-end job going nowhere. I thought, well, at least I could kind of help people this way, so let me go do this again. So a friend of a friend walked into my life who was a chiropractor, and he said like, hey, I need somebody like you with that physical therapy background to help me out in the office. What do you say? And I thought, old guys with bad backs, like what the hell's chiropractic? I didn't know a thing about it. So I ended up working for this guy. And he does what you would associate as traditional snap, crack, pop chiropractic. But I saw
all the boring shit.
All the boring stuff. Yeah. So, it helps people. Yeah. But I saw some really cool changes. I thought, like there's a spark that was reignited in me. I thought, that's it. I'm going to be a chiropractor. That's how I'm going to help people. So I ended up, just before I go off to grad school, my sister cleaned out all the money I had saved to feed her habit. And so I ended up flying down to Atlanta, Georgia, one way, with a backpack full of clothes, a phone number to call when I landed, and $400 in my pocket. And I was standing at the Philly airport. My dad drops me off, and I remember like pausing, just stopping right before I walked in the airport. And I look back at my dad, and there's this like little voice inside of me that was like, "It's okay. You don't have to go. You can just go right back and just go back to your old life." But I knew like it would never lead to happiness. It would never lead to fulfillment, and I knew that like I wasn't doing well there. I had to go forward. So I just kind of looked at my dad, looked at the stairs up in front of me, and I was like, I don't know if this is a parachute or a backpack, but I'm fucking jumping. And that was it. I went ahead, went down to Atlanta, I started chiropractic college. I was scared out of my mind that I was going to flunk out. So after I hit 4 O's my first like 3/4 of the first year, I figured, okay, I can chill now. And I started getting exposed to all these different things. I thought going to a chiropractor is like going to a dentist, where it's pretty much you're going to get the same protocol, same gig wherever you go. And somebody said, no, you gotta check this thing out. They call network spinal analysis. It's really weird, but it's really cool. They barely touch you. People have these huge emotional releases. They move energy, and like, you should go check it out. So I thought, energy, right? That's what you turn lights on with, right? Like that was my whole level of understanding with that. So anyway, I go to my first seminar with the guy who invented this work, and it changed my life. Like I was on the table with this guy. Normally my mind is racing.
So you say on the table, like a chiropractic table?
Kind of like that, yeah. Healing table, chiropractic table, right? A little bit smaller than a massage table.
But you do it on a kitchen table if you had to?
Good
if
point.
You had to.
If I had to, I'd do it on the floor.
All right.
On the floor, standing upside down, underwater. I'm good to go, baby.
Gotcha.
I'll make it work. So anyway, like I get on the table, the healing table with this guy. I have my first session, and normally my mind, which is always racing, was on edge, anxiety, just went. And I went to this space of like, I can't describe it other than feeling like I was everywhere and nowhere all at once. And I went to this deep state, and I had a vision. I literally had a parting the veil, and I saw myself in the future, and I had this message like, this is why you're here, this is what you're to do. And then back in my body and was like, what? Like, I never felt that when somebody went crack on my neck before. What's up with this? And so that was October 2001. And so in the last 15 and a half years, I've been pursuing this one discipline and technique, and I've been able to help a lot of people from all walks of life, all different ages, to really and truly not just help them let go of pain or stress, because believe it or not, that's actually easy to do. Like, all of us know so many approaches to like just letting go. I mean, you can have a drink, you can go in a jacuzzi, you can go on a walk. But the fact is that we go back to our lives, we're creatures of habits,
yeah,
we're
it's more
creatures
immediate,
of patterns.
right? It's more of an immediate
Short
thing.
term.
Drink, release, go back to who you are.
Exactly. So one of the unique things about the work that I do is about breaking the patterns that are underneath the outcomes and the circumstances that are driving your life. When we can get to underneath what the pattern is, you can totally change the outcome. And so by putting a little bit of input, the right place, the right time, it's all about leverage. You know, instead of just using force to make change, if you know the right place to apply it, you can make a big outcome with a little input. So when I have people on the table, I take them through a process where I'm able to read those patterns of stress that everyone has, like through the bumps of the road of life. You know, that leaves clues. Success leaves clues, and so does pain.
Typically, the pain and the stress are all caused from the first, 1 to 7 years of someone's life, typically?
Well, they can be. That's when our brains hardwire, and like according to the environment. So like by age 7, you hit these neurological developmental windows, and like that's your hardware. That's what you got. And then from there, your experiences are like the software that you're running, the programs you're running. Some of them are faulty. We have programs that lead to pain, and we have patterns and programs that lead to growth. And I'm all about like helping you to, instead of always focusing on what's wrong, what's not working, what you need to overcome, what you need to let go of, man, it's so much easier and rewarding when you can go to like, where's it working for you? Where's the best version of you, and how can we bring more of that out? And so that's what this technique and approach does. And Tony Robbins, he's been a huge fan of the work. Like, he doesn't go on stage anywhere in the world.
And you actually work on Tony Robbins himself, right? On your kitchen table, on your on his kitchen
Trust
table.
me, it's not like we hang out. Yo, T, come on over.
Yeah,
we're not in the kitchen table level yet, but yeah.
Soon to be.
But yes, I've also worked on Tony. There's been a great crew of people in the technique that I practice that work on support him. Especially at his events. Like, he doesn't go on stage anywhere in the world without somebody who does what I do to keep him up in that peak state, peak energy, and keep him going, so he can deliver his best, gifts to the people in that crowd, and just show up as his best self, and then not also at his own expense, where he needs like days and weeks to recover afterwards. So I do the same thing for people. It doesn't matter what walk of life you're from. Guaranteed, if there's some patterns right now in your life where you're hitting friction or you're hitting a wall, instead of pushing harder and harder for diminishing returns and fewer results, we go ahead and find a way to like bring out the best part of you, best version of you that shows up in life, and that's you. And nobody can do you better than you. And it's important for everybody out there. You need the help and support. Like, you can go out there on your own and do it by yourself, but there's an old saying, like, if you want to go fast, go by yourself. If you want to go far, go together.
Awesome.
And so we're all about like building the team that you need to go ahead and support you, so you don't have to focus on all those things at once, but you can hone in on what's that one thing. You can maximize your time and effort.
That's it.
Yep.
Awesome. So guys, listen, July 11th, Gotham Comedy Club. Kell will be one of our guest speakers there, so come on out, meet him, we'll let you know, and information to follow, details and registration. And thanks for having me.
Thanks, Jeff.
Coming.
Good to see you, buddy. Thanks, everybody.